Stellaris Humanoids Species Pack released on the 7th of December 2017 and is available on Windows PC, Mac and Linux. It's developed by Paradox Development Studio and published by Paradox Interactive. The Humanoids Species Pack is essentially a skin pack that will change the look and feel of the species that you play as without changing any of its direct gameplay. As this DLC is entirely aesthetic, I'll just break down what you get in the Species Pack and then give you my impressions on what's on offer. Typically discussing gameplay systems can be a little bit more objective, but with an art pack, opinions vary from person to person. The DLC adds 10 new portraits, 11 new ship and station models, 3 new advisor voices and 3 new music packs. There's also a few supplemental pieces of art and audio for the rooms and species languages. The Humanoid Species Pack is said to be inspired by classic works of Western science fiction, so there's some resemblance to popular TV shows, comics and lore here. In the customization options, we can check all of the different variants available to the humanoids. Of course, these can also spawn in your game in a variety of ways for the other races in your galaxy. Some of the more notable additions are the orcish greenskins, the dwarfs, the cyclops, the goatish people and the little people. These all have female and male variants, with an average of 2 to 3 color tweaks to their skin and 5 different types of clothes that they can wear. This means that each portrait type has about 30 variations when taking into account female and male within a species. For me personally, and I think with a lot of people, you'll find 1 or 2 that you really like, and the rest will be throwaway species. Some of them are a bit absurd and silly, and might be a bit too familiar to fit within the galaxy, so I wish there was a way to exempt some of them from appearing in the game. Next we'll look at the new ship models. Choosing humanoid ships, which are not to be confused with the base game's mammalian ships, will give you access to the new ship types in your game. Essentially, they're elongated grey ships, broadly similar in aesthetic to Star Destroyers from Star Wars, but just a bit more modern looking. To be perfectly honest, I find the designs to be a bit plain and unoriginal. However, I really do like the look of the science ship, constructor and colony ships. The science ship has a little ball in it that rotates around, perhaps like an onboard observatory. The constructor has a large docking area for deploying its constructors, and the colony ship, much like the others in the game, have large windows for cities and colonists to live. The corvettes and destroyers look pretty sleek and cool, but for me the cruisers and battleships lose their shape a bit and become a bit bloated looking. The defense platforms, defense stations and fortresses all have the same grey finish to them as the ships and look similar to the space stations, which are basically large circular stations with extended modules for different things. I really like the space stations in particular. Their assembly yards look awesome. They're like 2 pronged forks that jut out at you, and you can imagine ships just being rolled out into space from them. One thing to remember is that the colours of the windows and lights can be changed based on your flag, so there's always a tiny bit of customization you can do with them. As well as that, there's the different modules and gun models that are all represented in different ways, so you can field ships that look a little bit different to the ones that I'm showing. Next are the advisor voices. We have the diplomat, the soldier and the technocrat, and they've all been added to the advisor list. The diplomat sounds like a bit more of an authoritative older woman, and personally I just don't like her voice.
Knowledge, discovery, compassion, integrity, and hot tea.
The soldier sounds like a bored teenage girl, so again, not really for me, though I do kind of like her voice.
This channel is now under military control. Obey all instructions transmitted here and report any insurgent activity to the nearest occupation officer. Have a nice day.
And the technocrat sounds like a middle-aged evil scientist man, and is by far my favourite.
No great advance is made without great sacrifice.
I'm still hoping that they add a male military-focused advisor, like some sort of crazed dictator hungry for power. As I've said, it really is opinion-based and depends on what you're looking for. The extra options are great and are delivered really well, even if you don't like a particular voice. Finally, we have the 3 new music tracks. I personally adore the soundtrack in Stellaris, but these tracks are remixes of existing ones that add a bit of a new spin on a track you may already be familiar with. In total, they form around 18 minutes of music. There's not really much more I can say other than I really like the soundtrack and the new songs. While familiar, they are welcome additions. So that's it for the Humanoid Species Pack for Stellaris. This is just a small piece of content that may give you a slightly more interesting playthrough in between the larger DLC drops, but honestly it doesn't really add anything that impressive. With different mods adding quite impressive portraits and ship models themselves, you can kind of pick and choose the ones that you want for free already. The biggest draw for me is the new music and advisors, and the chances of coming up against greater variety in my games. The price point is a little bit steep for just an art pack, especially when you consider how much is in the base game and the price of the base game when you compare it to the price of just this art pack. If you've seen some art or ship models or something that you like, then I'd recommend getting it now. However, if you didn't, I'd wait for a sale and then just add some variety to your game later down the road. Thank you very much for watching. If you want to see more videos like this, then let me know in the comments below, and let me know what you think of the DLC and if you'll be picking it up. Full-on reviews like this one are supported by an amazing, dedicated group on Patreon. If you want to support this channel and help decide what games we cover, consider checking it out.